Hi, I'm Sage. Welcome back to the Addictive Wellness Channel.
And my name is AnnaBlanca, and I'm extremely excited because today we are going to talk about vitamin D. So much controversy surrounding vitamin D. For example, it's not even a vitamin. It's a precursor to steroid hormones, right? It's crazy. And vitamin D is being made when the sun's UVB light hits a substance in your skin that's called 7-dehydrocholesterol.
And the other thing that confuses a lot of people is the difference between D2 and D3. Where do they come from? What do they do? What's the difference? D2 is primarily coming from plant and fungal sources. For example, tremella mushroom, which we have in several of our products, is a great source of D2. And then you have D3 coming from the animal world, and both of these get metabolized in the body into different compounds. D2 gets turned into 25-hydroxyvitamin D2, D3 gets turned into 25-hydroxyvitamin D3, and these are falling into a category known as calcifidiol. Now, the calcifidiol is basically the active vitamin D that you want in your system. So what you want to look at is what is between D2 and D3, what is going to give you higher levels of calcifidiol in the blood. And it turns out that D3 is a lot better. Studies show that D3 is more effective at actually getting these blood levels of calcifidiol elevated. Some studies showing between 2 and 4 times more effective. So if you're getting just D2, it's not going to be doing as much for you as D3. And the other thing is that D2, it's more sensitive to changes in humidity and temperature, so it can get damaged very easily. So by the time you actually get it, likely that D2 may not be in as functional a state anymore. So
that's a bummer.
D3 is definitely the way to go in terms of looking for a supplement.
And vitamin D significantly increases the absorption of dietary calcium into your body. So, and you want to make sure that you take some vitamin K2 alongside of it, because it's going to make sure that that calcium doesn't go to all the places where you do not want calcium, for example, in your arteries, but it's going to make sure it's going to direct that calcium into your bones where you want it.
So we know that vitamin D is a precursor to steroid hormones, but why is that important? Well, if you guys have seen some of the other videos we've done on hormone health, you understand that hormones are basically the master switches for so many things happening in the body. And when you don't have your hormones in the right places, ask any woman going through menopause, things are not so much fun.
Or any other times when your hormones
any other
are not
time,
happy.
right? Like, or ask a guy who has depleted testosterone. It's no fun. So with vitamin D, if it gets too low, there's lots of things that can go wrong. You can see accelerated aging, earlier death, increased inflammation in the body, brain dysfunction, increased risk of cancer, reduced nerve growth factor and growth of brain cells, reduced T cells that's in your immune system, weaker bones, obviously, because you're not absorbing as much calcium, increased risk of depression, and also potentially learning impairments.
Okay. So we really need a good amount of vitamin D, from what I'm hearing here, right? And also it controls over 1,000 genes out of your genome, which is like 1/24th of your genome. So you really want to make sure that your genome is expressed in the right way. Like, I was just talking with Sage, and he's a king of allegory, and he was explaining, and we came up with this way to explain. Imagine you get on a plane and the pilot says, "Clear blue skies, everybody. We're going to be taking off right now, but we have a bit of a problem with the engine. 1/24th of the engine is not functioning as well as it should."
If they say 1 out of every 24 components in the plane is performing suboptimally,
you don't want to get on that flight, right? It's the same thing with your body. You really want your genome to express itself perfectly. And if you can help it with a little bit of extra vitamin D, why not, right?
Yeah, it's one of the least expensive supplements, and there's so much to gain from optimizing your vitamin D levels. And as far as what kind of range you want to get, you can get blood tests done to see where your vitamin D levels are like, and you want to look to get it. Generally, the sweet spot is considered between 40 to 60 nanograms per deciliter. And we were talking earlier about how it helps with the T cells, and you have to understand that on the cells of your immune cells have vitamin D receptors, and when these are activated by the vitamin D. When it comes and plugs into that receptor, it can help prevent autoimmune conditions, and it's also been shown to help with things like common cold and flu.
And also it can help prevent chronic inflammatory responses, right? And helps you manage blood sugar level. Very important.
And brain is going to work better when you have healthy vitamin D. It improves your executive function, which is what comes from your frontal lobes. It's where you get focus, decision making, concentration, and it's going to help you retain more information.
When your vitamin D levels are low, you have an increased risk of DNA damage and a shortening of your telomeres.
And you also hear a lot of talk about vitamin D in the cancer prevention space. So it has been shown in correlational studies that it can affect risk for breast cancer, colon cancer, and ovarian cancers. There's a couple theories as to how this might be happening. There's no one certain answer, but the two leading hypotheses are related to its role in the cell life cycle and also potentially to its ability to block excess estrogen. There was a study in 2018, for example, very recently, that showed that if women had a vitamin D level of over 60 nanograms per deciliter, their risk for breast cancer was 1/5 the risk of women who had a very low level, being 20 nanograms per deciliter. So a huge drop in the risk of breast cancer.
That much, I'm very impressed by that. These are the numbers I like to hear, right? There is another number, but I do not like to hear, that 70% of the population are chronically deficient of vitamin D. And we keep being told to be afraid of the sun instead of trying to make friends with it. It's tragic, in my opinion. Also, if you're using SPF 15 and above, and makes your absorption of vitamin D, impairs your absorption of vitamin D by 99%. That's not a very good number either, if you're talking numbers and liking those numbers. So another way that recently Sage was telling me about is, and we started playing this game, it's an app. I'm so excited about this app. It's called D-Minder, like Mind You D, right? And it feels like a game. I really like it. So tell us more about this, Sage, because we're
It's an app that you put in some information about yourself, like height, weight, skin type, your
location.
It accesses through your phone your location in the world. So it is able to look at all those factors and what time of day it is, what the weather is like in your area that day. So it knows at any time, if you are out in the sun, what your vitamin D production capabilities are. And you also put in, you tell it, okay, I'm going out in the sun now, and I am...
Bring that much clothes.
You tell it how naked you are, right? So you say...
I suppose you say naked.
100% means you're completely naked, 0% means you're completely covered up, and then you're not going to get any vitamin D.
Actually, it lets you go as low as bikini.
Yeah.
For a girl. Does it let you go naked on the guy's side of the app?
I felt like it, but maybe it was, I don't know.
Wouldn't that be nice? But okay, the point is that it's really, I start using it.
And so you push start, and as you go, you can watch your vitamin D score, the number of IUs coming in.
It's like playing a game. It's like I keep getting these amazing scores in the game, like life-enhancing scores. It's really fascinating. And for example, if you start earlier in the day, as you're getting closer to solar noon, the minute per minute of vitamin D levels that you're getting absorbed into your body, it's going up. And after solar noon, it starts going lower. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
a method must have gone into this app. I'm so surprised.
Let's give you guys a quick look at how we do it.
Take a look at this. We're going to show it right now how to set it up.
Okay, so we're on my phone now, and we're going to go into this app, D-Minder. And this is the home page. We're going to come back to this in a second, but first I want to go through a bit of the setup. So we're going to go to the bottom here and hit Settings and see how we set up our profile. So you're going to put in your name, birth date, weight, height, and then it calculates your BMI from there. That is all not the most important stuff in the world. The weight and height are a little bit relevant because it determines how much vitamin D you take and how that's going to influence your vitamin D levels. But most importantly, we want to look at this bottom option here, Fitzpatrick skin type. And there, you're going to figure out which one works for you. Which one is your skin type. because the darker your skin is, the closer you are to a type 6 rather than a type 1, the slower you are going to make vitamin D, the less vitamin D you're going to produce per minute. On the other hand, much lighter skin types, more like Northern European type skin types, for example, are going to make vitamin D faster. This is an evolutionary adaptation because if somebody was living in an equatorial region, they are going to be in the sun all the time, so it's not important to make vitamin D extremely fast. On the other hand, if somebody is living in an area far away from the equator, either far south or far north, then they have to make as much vitamin D as quickly as possible because their sun exposure is somewhat limited. So we're going to hit done now, and go hit done again, and then you can go to vitamin D level management, and here it's going to estimate based on information that you've given it what your current vitamin D level is. You can input your recent lab tests. You can say what your goal is, what you're trying to get to, and how many you're taking supplementally per day, and then it'll give you an idea of how much you need per day to get to your goal, either from a supplement or from getting it from the sun, or a combination of those two most likely. All right, so there everything is set up, and we're going to go back to the home page and take a look at what's going on here. So at the top you have your location data, and it automatically figures out where you're at, what the UV index is on that day, what your altitude is in your area more or less, and then you're going to see solar noon was at 12:56 p.m. That is when the sun is at its highest point in the sky, and therefore that is when you're going to make the most vitamin D per minute. At the time of recording this, it's 4:17 p.m. So we are quite a ways past that, and you can see if you look about 2/3 of the way to the bottom of the screen, vitamin D is only going to be available for another 1 hour. After that, it's too late in the day and you're not getting the UVB coming through because the sun is at too much of a low angle and is coming through too much of the atmosphere, and it gets blocked. So you could still get a tan, but you're not actually going to be producing vitamin D. So now let's say we're going to go out in the sun. We hit start sun exposure. And now we're going to give it a little more information. We're going to say, what is the percentage of our skin that's exposed? So we look at this by how much clothing are we wearing, right? So let's say I'm going to go out in just shorts and no shirt. That's going to put me at 70%. That sounds pretty good. The more skin you have exposed, obviously, the faster you're going to make vitamin D. Then you see how overcast it is, because that's going to obviously have an impact on the amount of UVB coming through. Right now it's a perfectly sunny day, so we can leave that at 0. And then let's say you're starting this like 10 minutes late. You went out in the sun and you forgot to start it. Well, then you can kind of backtrack with this function here, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to go out in the sun now. So we hit next. So there to start, we just tap in the center. And now we see what's happening. We're getting IUs already. So in this sun that's in the sky right now, we are getting 78 IUs a minute. And you just keep this going as long as you're out in the sun. And like we were saying, it's like a video game. Your points are just adding up. This is like a free health supplement that you're getting. And it's, I don't know, there's just something so fun and satisfying about watching that number of IUs go up as you just spend time out in the sun, enjoying yourself and relaxing and working on your health. So you can see a quick look at the bottom. On the left is the percentage of cloud cover. In the center is your skin exposure. And on the right is the maximum amount of time at this time of day and in these conditions that they recommend that you expose each side of your body to the sun to not get burnt. So obviously if we were doing this more around the time of solar noon, that would be showing a much shorter amount of time. And that also varies depending on your Fitzpatrick skin type that you set up in the settings at the beginning. So let's pretend we've advanced time and now we're finished with our session here. We're going to press and hold in the center. And then we see what our total vitamin D generated was, how long it took us to generate it, and just gives us a basic idea here. And over time, based on the amount of vitamin D that you tell this app that you're taking supplementally and what you accumulate from being in the sun, it's going to continually estimate, interestingly, your vitamin D blood level. And it's very interesting to see when you actually go get a blood test done, how that matches up. And it's quite accurate oftentimes. So we'll hit done. And that's it. This is a great tool to see how you're actually able to make vitamin D given the time that you spend out in the sun. It's a great way just to understand what's going on in your body and a great motivation to work on this aspect of your health. So we hope you guys found that fun and helpful. Your homework for today is consider talking to your doctor about getting your vitamin D levels tested, seeing if taking a vitamin D3 K2 supplement could be a good idea for you, and check out the D-Minder app. See if you can score some free vitamin D that way.
I know, comment, let us know if you like it. It's just, to me, it's so much fun. I think it's like the funnest game I've ever played in my phone. And okay, what does it say about me? I'm a complete geek.
All right, have a great day, guys. We'll see you again soon.
Increase your vitamin D level.